Hello, everybody. This is Rob with Velocity Portfolio. This is going to be the week 11 update for the Velocity Portfolio. As you can see on the screen, the strategy for what we are doing. I started this on October 1st of this year, so almost 12 weeks now, which is almost 3 months. Of course, I'll cover, as usual, the portfolio overview for the week, what I deposited, what I purchased, dividend payouts, what's coming next week, margin balance, all of that. I'm going to cover that here shortly. But I wanted to do something a little bit different in this video and talk about how changing to the or using this strategy and changing over to this strategy eventually with this portfolio has instilled more confidence in me in a number of areas. So I'm going to get a little bit personal on this and give you guys a little bit of background about me. I'm not going to show anything other than what's on the screen right here while I'm talking through this, and I'll try not to ramble too much and rant. But if you want to do something else and just listen, you won't miss anything on the screen if you're kind of a visual learner like me. So, how this strategy instilled more confidence in me. First of all, I wanted to say that I'm very, very close to 1,000 subscribers. And as you guys are listening to this or watching this, I might be over 1,000 subscribers. And I'm very close to being monetized. I never thought that I would have any success with this. I struggle with imposter syndrome and maybe never will get over it. I still can't believe that there's even 1,000 people in this world that want to listen to me and are interested in what I have to say. I remember just on October 1st when I started this strategy, I had like 88 subscribers, and I remember showing my wife and the my screen on my phone and showing it to her and saying, "Hey, look, there's 88 people that want to listen to me." And she even was like, "Wow, that's a lot. That's really cool that that many people want to listen to you." So having 10 times that now in less than 2 months is just incredible. And thank you guys for all the support and everything. It's really, really appreciated. And it's part of the reason why I moved to this strategy and how this strategy has created some more confidence in me and my everyday life. So jumping into that, the main thing is I've struggled with money throughout my life, and I grew up very, very poor. When I was a teenager, we lived in a motorhome in grocery store parking lots, and sometimes no running water, no toilet to use. We'd have to use toilets in campgrounds or bathrooms in grocery stores, and I'd be dropped off at school in like the worst vehicle, sometimes no vehicle. And we bounced around a lot. Every day I would get out of school, I didn't know where we were sleeping that night. I always had a roof over my head, which was great. But it was always like the next hotel. It was always a motorhome, or we were crashing at somebody's house. But for about 5 years, we lived in a motorhome, and we were just bouncing from campground to campground, and it was tough. And it's there's some worse parts to it and some better parts to it. I don't want to go too deep into my childhood, but I grew up very, very poor is the moral of the story. And because of that, my money habits just quite frankly weren't great, because my parents weren't, and most of my siblings and most of my aunts and uncles and things like that aren't and weren't either. And I wasn't until most recently, I think, at least. Just a few years prior to finding this strategy from a fellow YouTuber. So I make comments on my channel and other people's channels all the time about how this has truly changed my life, and it has. I'm not exaggerating, and I'm going to go into it more deeper here in a second. But I wanted to tell a really funny story about living out of campgrounds and things like that, because it wasn't all bad. There was some funny times, but kind of a funny story. We were staying at a campground, and where we were staying, it was the type of campground where you could only stay for, I think it was like 3 or 4 days. I can't remember. And then they would make you pick up and leave because they wanted to make sure there was enough camping spots for people coming in town and things like that. So we were only able to stay in one spot for 3 days, and then we'd have to move to another spot. So we would bounce around from campground to campground and come back and go, again to another one and then come back. And long story short, we had a cat, and the cat lived in the motorhome with us. Somehow the cat would live outside and somehow always find their way back to the motorhome. And there was one time we didn't have running water, and we didn't have a toilet to use because it was broken. So we were staying in a camp spot that was right across from the public bathrooms. And I remember I was going across like the little street to get to this bathroom, and my cat got out and was kind of like following me. And there was a lady walking by, and she looks at me and she goes, "Oh, how cute! Do you bring your cat camping with you everywhere?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah." I was 14 years old maybe or something like that. And I was like, "Oh yeah, we bring them everywhere." I didn't want to tell them that we lived out of this campground and out of that motorhome. So I always look back at that, and I always thought it was like really funny at the time. So, it wasn't all bad, and like I said, I always had a roof over my head and things like that. But getting out of that a little bit, how this has really changed my life is I mentioned I've always been bad with money, and because of that, I've always been kind of a penny pincher and a cheapskate, to be quite frank. And it's been really, really hard for me to overcome that. And prior to finding this strategy, I was using a budgeting app called YNAB. You need a budget, which I think is incredible, especially if you need to really create a budget and stick to it. But even that was creating like a really, really tough situation where I was watching every single penny, and I was stressing on every single purchase. And I've always been like that because when you grow up not having money, you're just always afraid that you're going to lose it, right? And you're going to wind up being poor again. And, the last few years, my wife, I worked while my wife went to school. She's a nurse. She went to nursing school. I worked while she was doing that, so she didn't have to work. And, the last 4 or 5 years, we've really, really built ourselves up in our jobs and our careers, and we've had a baby, and we bought a house 3 years ago. So we've really come a long way, and I still consider myself poor, and it has really taken a lot of people that we know to say otherwise for me to actually like start believing it. And the reason why that's important is because this year is the first time that I've just wanted to give away as much money as possible. And this strategy has really given me the confidence to know that even if it takes 15 years, right? I keep saying 5 to 7, this is going to set me free. But even if it takes 10 or 15 years, I'm 38 years old, I'd still be in my 50s. I still think that's incredible, right? I think that's worst case scenario, but it has instilled the confidence in me that I'm going to get out of this rat race, and I am eventually going to have life-changing money. If not in the next 5 or 10 years, definitely in the next 15 or 20. And it's given me the confidence to give away some more money and not constantly be thinking about, oh, well, that money, could have gone towards more investments, or it could have gone towards this bill, or it could have gone towards this or that, right? Because who knows what's going to happen tomorrow. And not to say none of that can happen. I could lose my job tomorrow. My wife could lose her job. Things could happen. I get that. But I have always just been afraid of, I've been a penny pincher, like I said. So like, I've just been always afraid to part with money, whether it be for groceries or giving it away. Didn't matter. It's just very hard for me. And this year, especially the last 2 or 3 months, I have just found that that's like something has changed and shifted in me. And maybe it's because I have a daughter now too. I have one child, and she's going to be 8 months old in a couple days. And maybe that's changed it a little bit too. But I think more than anything, it's this strategy and the confidence that it's given me. When I was younger, back when I was, really, really poor and we didn't have anything at all, we were adopted by a family a couple of times. But I remember one year specifically, we had to go to a food bank or a food pantry to get food, and we were signed up on a list for Christmas, and a family adopted us. And what that means is you give them a list of things you're interested in, and that family buys you those things. And on Christmas, you get to open them. It's anonymous. You don't know who they are or anything like that. But I remember I got a football, and what was a football 15 years ago? $10 or something like that. But I lived with my brother, who was a couple years older than me. He played high school football and all that, and I always looked up to him, and that was like the best gift I've ever gotten in my life. And we literally couldn't afford a $10 football. I mean, we were living on top ramen and beans and mac and cheese. And at the time, McDonald's hamburgers were like 29 cents, or they used to run deals or like 19 cents or something like that. So I was so excited about that. And I remember always telling myself, I want to be in a position to do that with a family as well, and give back in that same way, because it had such an impact on me, such a little thing, right? And I used that football until it popped. We threw that thing around all the time, and it was the best. And I've wanted to in recent years do that more and give away more, but like I said, it's so hard for me. It was so hard for me to part with money that I just, every time I think about donating or giving, and I'm not talking like $25 or $50 here and there. Of course, I'd, give that to people. I wasn't that cheap, but I'm talking like doing something substantial and donating money or giving to somebody less fortunate. And um, this strategy has given me that. And this year is the first year in my life, even though I've wanted to do it the last 10 years if I could. I have finally been able to pull that trigger, and we adopted a family this year, and we bought a family of two adults and three kids gifts, and we spent a pretty good amount, and I just was very, very happy about it, and it made me feel so good that I want to give more, and I have given more just the last couple of months to different things, and I just want to continue to give more. Of course, I want to be responsible and not just give everything away, of course, and not put me and my family in a bad position. But any chance I can find, I want to. So leading into, I wanted to go into what I wanted to go into next was, I'm very close to getting monetized here, and I never thought that I would make anything from YouTube. I don't even know if that was my goal. It was just to kind of document what I was doing so I could show it to my daughter later on, or I could reference it 10 or 15 years down the road, or for any of my future kids or family or friends or anybody ask me, I could just point them to my channel instead of trying to explain it. So I just honestly never thought that it would get to this point. I never thought I would have any success with it. But because of that, if and when I do get monetized, because it hasn't actually happened yet, I want to take whatever I am making from YouTube and I want to give it away. So a percentage of it at least, right? I want to keep some of it to kind of reinvest and keep this portfolio growing, but I want to give some of it back. And I'm fully aware that, it's not going to be thousands or hundreds even of dollars right away. And it may never get to that point. But even if it's $10, $15, $20, I want to give some of it away, a percentage of it. So I have some ideas for what I want to do with it. But if you guys have any, charities that you really, really like, or things that you're a part of, like I rescued my dog from a place here in Southern California who rescues dogs from Mexico. We got her from Mexico, and they take donations. So I've thought about that. I love animals, so I've thought about that. But I guess I'm looking for some ideas. If you guys have any ideas or what you do, or have any organizations that you really like, I'm happy to consider them as well. I want to kind of, for lack of better terms, I want to spread the wealth, right? So cliche, but I want to pick a few, and I want to donate to different causes and join in on some things. So if you would, please let me know down in the comments if you guys have any that you are active in or participate in. So yeah, I just wanted to cover that really quick, or not really quick. This strategy has really, really like changed my life mentally, and I think it will change my life financially even more as we get going here down this path. And I'm only, this is week 11 of switching to this, so I'm pretty excited, and we're getting to the end of December here and starting a new year, so it's pretty exciting, and the most exciting I've been in a while. And my wife wants to have a second child, and I've kind of been hesitant because money. We live in Southern California; it's very, very expensive here. Healthcare is doing nothing but rising. I don't need to tell you guys what's going on with the world and our country and things like that. So I've always been really, really hesitant, and again, this strategy, and where I really, really believe in it, has given me the confidence to really consider it, and to the point where I think it's probably going to happen in the next couple of years, and that's really exciting. So anyways, I just wanted to share a little bit about me. I'll try to maybe throw some tidbits about me here and there in some of my videos and stuff, and try to connect a little better, but I wanted to share that with you guys. So anyways, without ranting and rambling on too much more, let's jump into the portfolio and what everybody comes for, right? So so right now, Snowball, it's Friday night. I typically do these videos on Saturday morning, but Snowball hasn't updated yet. I tried to sync it and refresh it a few times. It just never seems to work for me. So this is not updated. This is a little bit more because I put in about $2,400 today and then made a couple of purchases. So I'm going to use Schwab for now. So right now my current market value, so gross account value, is $134,794. Currently my margin balance is $23,897. You can see the day change. And then my net account value is 110,896. And I wanted to show some of the moves today. Let me go into transaction history. So you can see in Velocity Portfolio here. I sold a new position on BITX, which I'm still sitting in and trying to get out of. All of my calls have been expiring worthless, so I just keep selling just to cover the margin balance. So I got 17 bucks from that today. And then I did buy some more HOOW. So this brings me up to 85 shares now. I was down quite a bit. It took a nosedive today. I was down quite a bit on it. It's only like 2.3% of my portfolio. And my high yielders was about 48% of the 50% allocation I'm shooting for. So I went ahead and added some more of this. And then I added some more NVIDIA because I was down on it a little bit. And again, it's not a huge percentage of my portfolio. In fact, I'll show you before the purchases. This is what we were looking at here. So HOOW right here is only 2.44. It'll be a little higher now. And then NVIDIA was right over here. So less, just right about 2%. So I decided to add to those because I was down on both of them. So doing kind of a 50-50 split of income and growth. And then I also I had a couple of SPY puts as insurance that I rolled out and paid $67 for those. And I also added QQQ. I think I did that yesterday. I added 2 QQQ puts as well. I think it was yesterday, the day before. So I've got 2 SPY puts on and 2 QQQ puts on right now to protect from any kind of market drop. We've seen some more volatility in the last couple days, especially today. So I just wanted to have those in place. And then going to dividends that I did actually receive this week. We are here. So HOOW. I had 60 shares at the time. I have 85 now, but they paid about $1. So I got 60 bucks on, what was this, Tuesday? WPay, I got $106. Microsoft, 910, Ulti, YMAX. I got Misty, QDTE, RDTE, and XTT all today. So I'm projected to get just a little less than $2,200 this month. I think it'll be a little bit higher because I'm adding to some of these positions, but next week I'll get my Google, and then of course the same payers. This BITX dividend, because I'll likely still be in the position, will go towards dropping that cost basis so I can finally get out of that position. And then of course the usual suspects I'll be getting on Friday. Going back to the dashboard here, I wanted to kind of just cover, so YMAX has been taking a lot of heat lately, or not YMAX, YieldMax has been taking a lot of heat lately for how much it's been dropping, and it has dropped a lot. Although HOOW kind of killed me today. You can see, I haven't owned it very long, but you can see I'm down 14%. I bought 25 more shares today, so that's a little bit less, but I wanted to go into my 3 YieldMax holdings. So I currently have YMAX, which has actually been pretty good. You can see I own 200 shares, current value $2,100. It's only 1.6% of my portfolio, which is by choice. But you can see my total profit, I'm pretty much even. I'm only down 0.3% or $10. Capital gains, obviously, I'm down 20%, but you have to factor in the dividends that you've received for the total return. So total profit, I'm even. I'm pretty happy with that. I made my first purchase of YMAX back in 2024, and I've just been kind of adding to it. I did sell some here, but I've been adding to it here. So I'm pretty happy with that. And YMAX has been doing pretty well, so I'm thinking about adding a little bit more to it in the near future. We'll see. And then I wanted to go to Misty. Misty has not been as good to me. You can see I was doing pretty well here, and then they just completely went the opposite direction, SPY and Misty, that is. And it just took a nosedive recently, and they split recently. So I currently have 109 shares. In total profit, including dividends, I'm down still 21%. So not happy about that. I'm following Misty pretty closely, but my plan was to hold for at least a year, no matter what, before I made any decisions. And I started buying Misty in October, but I started going, you can see, really heavy here in February. So I had 346 shares at the time. I added a few more. So I'm going to wait until at least February, March to assess, and I still may not end up doing anything because I don't have a lot of cryptocurrency coverage anyway. So I'm kind of okay with owning it right now. I know Mister's been beat up, and I think there's a chance it could come back up. And then the last one I own is Ulti. Here we go. So I had 1,000 shares. It just split recently as well. Ulti's done okay for me, but obviously it's tanked quite a bit. I was actually up for a while on it, and then it's tanked most recently. So I currently have 100 shares. My total profit right now is 7.6%. Worse than it was. Again, you can see I was doing okay. I was hanging tough until about July, and then they started to separate quite a bit. And Ulti has made some changes, so it looks like that they are going to hopefully start doing a little better. In the last few days has kind of shown that, but we'll see how it goes long term. So currently total return negative 7.6%, and I started purchasing Ulti in May. So I've got like another 6 to 8 months before I want to make a decision on this. So sorry, my throat's getting really dry. So you can see I made like the biggest purchase in June even. So I only had a few shares. So June is really like when I will reassess, but I'm pretty confident that they, at least for Ulti, that they're going to make some changes to try and smooth it out. They made some additions to it that I think are good, and I think they're going to continue to really try and manage it better. So we'll see what happens. I just wanted to cover the yield max positions, go over the portfolio, the margin balance. My passive income is sitting at about 26 annually, 20% roughly. And that's pretty much it. Again, if you guys have any suggestions for videos, of course, like every week, or anything that you have any questions on, let me know down in the comments. And then going back, if you guys have any suggestions or organizations you guys are a part of that I could look at. I'm in Southern California, so if anybody's local and wants to throw anything like that out as well, I'm happy to take a look. But thank you guys so much again for the support, and I never thought I'd get here, and I appreciate everybody following and liking and subscribing and commenting and just following along. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you.